Hello there, it's me, Reed.
Hi, I'm Jennifer.
Welcome.
Welcome. We're glad that you are here with us for another Faith at Home listening practice.
Indeed. We're listening to Psalm 109 today. Well, half of it.
The first half of Psalm
Yes.
109.
It's fairly long, so I thought we'd cut it in half.
So we'll connect the two together only in so much as we will listen
Right?
to the first half, and then another day we'll listen to the other half.
Yeah.
So the process that we go through, if you're new to this with us, we read the psalm out loud and we listen for a word or a phrase or an idea or maybe a story from our lives that jumps out to us from the reading.
Right. And the point of that is so we can learn to hear God speaking to us.
It's one of the things that some of us struggle with in our everyday lives is knowing, when is God speaking to me? How could I hear God speak to me? And this practice is one of the ones that we use to help us hear God in the midst of our everyday lives.
Yeah. So Psalm 109 from the New Century Version is what we'll be reading. And I'll read it first. Oh, wait,
Sure.
you have
And
a pen?
I have
and
my
a
pen
book?
and my book to write in, just to keep a few notes.
Right. But I'll read first. How about?
Okay. And I will listen along with those of you who are listening with us today. Let's pay attention for a word or a phrase.
Right. So Psalm 109. God, I praise you. Do not be silent. Wicked people and liars have spoken against me. They've told lies about me. They have said hateful things about me and attacked me for no reason. They attacked me even though I loved them and prayed for them. I was good to them, but they repay me with evil. I loved them, but they hate me in return. They say about me, have an evil person work against them and let an accuser stand against them. When they are judged, let them be found guilty, and let even their prayers show their guilt. Let their life be cut short, and let another person replace them as leader. Let their children become orphans, and their spouse become alone. Make their children wander around begging for food. Let them be forced out of the ruins in which they live. Let the people to whom they owe money take everything they own, and let strangers steal everything they have worked for. Let no one show them love, or have mercy on their orphaned children. Let all their descendants die and be forgotten by those who live after them. Lord, remember how wicked their ancestors were, and don't let the sins of their parents be wiped out. Lord, always remember their sins, then make people forget about them completely.
Oof!
That's
wow,
heavy.
that's it's what stands out to me in that, listening to the section about, so first you have the person who wrote the psalm saying, all these bad things are happening to me and my enemies are saying this about me. And what the enemies are saying is all directed to God. Like it's all like so that's what stands out to me, is that in this psalm there's a person who feels like their enemies are praying to God that bad things would happen to them. Wow, that's heavy. Oofta. What do you notice?
Well, I just remembered years ago when I first read this psalm, I didn't understand it at first. I mean, didn't know what was happening. I didn't realize.
It's changing speakers in between.
Yeah, so most of this part of the psalm, anyway, is somebody speaking against the person who wrote this psalm. They say about me, and then this long list of, may I, the psalm writer, suffer. Even though I've been good to them, they are praying against me, which I hope people aren't praying against me, but you can't do anything about that, can you? I mean, I don't even know what people are thinking about me most of the time, obviously. And so that stuck out to me too, this long, as you say, a person speaking to God. And it's not the psalmist.
It's a prayer about an assumed prayer. That's interesting to me, because there's a kind of circular thing happening.
How did the psalmist know they were praying that? I'm sure they didn't write them a letter telling them,
This is
what
what
I
I'm
hope.
praying.
Yeah, I hope this happens to you. So, yeah.
Wow. I wonder what
Hmm.
you notice as you listen to this first half of Psalm 109. Does it remind you of anything from your own life? Have you had experiences like this?
Mhm.
It's worth paying attention to that and carrying it into a conversation with someone that you trust. Let's listen again.
Mm-hmm. You read it this time, and we're going to listen this time for an invitation. That this will provoke in your mind an invitation from God. You will hear an invitation. Look for that. Watch for that. Listen for that.
From Psalm 109 in the New Century Version, verses 1 through 15. God, I praise you. Do not be silent. Wicked people and liars have spoken against me. They have told lies about me. They have said hateful things about me and attack me for no reason. They attacked me even though I loved them and prayed for them. I was good to them, but they repay me with evil. I loved them, but they hate me in return. They say about me, have an evil person work against them, and let an accuser stand against them. When they're judged, let them be found guilty, and let even their prayers show their guilt. Let their life be cut short, and let another person replace them as leader. Let their children become orphans, and let their spouse become alone. May their children wander around begging for food. Let them be forced out of the ruins in which they live. Let the people to whom they owe money take everything they own, and let strangers steal everything they have worked for. Let no one show them love or have mercy on their orphaned children. Let all their descendants die and be forgotten by those who live after them. Lord, remember how wicked their ancestors were, and don't let the sins of their parents be wiped out. Lord, always remember their sins. Then make people forget about them completely.
For a invitation, it's a tough one, but I kind of focused on the first portion of that in my mind anyway, that this person, the psalmist, is being treated badly. He's loved people and has been treated shabbily in return. They've been good to people or loved people and received hate or cruelty in return. The invitation is to what I hear is, and the psalmist says, I praise you, do not be silent. So he's asking, the person who wrote this was asking God to hear them and to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the invitation is something similar, to continue to praise God, but also to ask God to speak. It's because often in the midst of terrible circumstances, you can begin to think that God isn't listening or God isn't hearing, and that God, so there's no point. What's the point? I should just stop praying. It doesn't do any good or something. And I feel like this is a example of a person in the middle of travail who is continuing to maintain a relationship with God. And so the invitation to me is that continuing a relationship, even when it seems futile or terrible or meaningless.
Mm-hmm. So an invitation to continue in relationship.
To continue. Yeah. Don't give up, even when it's hard.
Even when it's hard. I'm drawn back to this sense in the psalm. Sometimes we talk about psalms of lament that bring curses.
Imprecatory.
imprecatory psalms bring curses against other people. Sometimes that's part of a person's lament. And so I can see this is a psalm of lament. A psalm of lament that, in one sense, presents both sides, tries to present both sides of the picture, perhaps not fairly.
No.
But the invitation for me is to carry into my prayers, into my internal talk about what's happening with other people and situations that are so uncomfortable in my life. And there are some right today that are just uncomfortable. I don't like what's going on in some of my relationships with the people around me. To carry the awareness that God sees both sides of the story. Because there's always like my side and your side, and then some third picture of what's actually going on. And I think God sees the third picture of what's actually going on. So the invitation is to trust that God sees the big picture, and that I can trust that God can work things out, whether now or maybe not until some great future date, maybe the resurrection. Maybe things won't be resolved
yes.
until then, but that's the invitation, is to trust that God can see more than I can see. And that if I do have curses or imprecatory feelings, that God is the right person to carry them to, not to the person I'm feeling sad about or upset with or hurt by.
Great, thank you.
Thanks for listening. That was a long explaining what invitation I'm hearing today.
That's all right.
For those of you who are listening with us today, what do you hear as an invitation from this psalm? What is God speaking to you in the midst of your experience? I'd be curious to know. I hope you'll share with us. And I'd like you to know that what I say about you is God bless you. May God work for you and be on your side. Thanks for being with us today.
Indeed. And we'll see you again.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.